Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 46 to 50.
यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगाधनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ कृपणाफलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्माद्योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम् कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्धविनिर्मुक्ताः पदं गच्छन्त्यनामयम् यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च श्रुतिविप्रतिपन्ना ते यदा स्थास्यति निश्चला समाधावचला बुद्धिः तदा योगमवाप्स्यसि.
In this chapter 2, we have seen so far till shloka number 45. Now the thought flow till now has been, in the first 10 shlokas of this chapter is entitled as Sankhya Yoga, the Yoga of Knowledge. Now, in this first 10 shlokas, the topic is Arjuna's despondent condition. Arjuna's despondent state continues from the previous chapter, and he surrenders to the Lord Sri Krishna in shloka number 7. Actually, he becomes a student in shloka number 7. From 11 onwards, Sri Krishna gives the knowledge. The actual Gita, therefore, we say, begins from verse number 11 of this chapter. So from 11 to 30, he talked about the indestructibility of the embodied, indestructible nature of everyone's original self. We are today believing ourselves to be this body-mind intellect. This body-mind-intellect complex is not our real personality, is not our real self. Our real self is Atma, which is eternal, all-pervading, endless, without beginning, without end, without birth, without death. It is Amrita. All this he discussed. And he said, therefore, there is no reason to grieve when this body-mind-intellect goes from one body to another. There is nothing to grieve. And then, having understood this knowledge, he emphasizes on performing our duty from shloka number 31 to 40, the topic is your duty to act, where he emphasizes everyone to act according to their swadharma. If you are a Brahmana, as per your inner nature. A lot of people understand all these as by birth, janma, and then karma, action, and then guna. Sri Krishna talks about whether you are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, Shudra, based upon your guna. So, according to your nature, whatever it may be, whether it's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, you must act performing your duties according to that. For example, if you are a student, also our life is divided into Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Student life, then family, married life, then Vanaprastha, forest dwelling, meaning withdrawal from the worldly routine daily activities and focusing upon the higher, and then sannyas, completely retiring into totally dedicated spiritual pursuit. So wherever you are, whatever stage you are, accordingly you have certain duties, you continue doing that without any prefix or suffix. No ego before and after. Doing it simply as an instrument. Then 41 to 44, he talks about desire-ridden actions. See, Vedas have 4 parts: Brahmana, Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka put together called Veda Purva Bhaga, which contains more rituals. It talks about more of rituals to fulfill your desires. There are many rituals prescribed for many different desires. And through that you fulfill your desires. The idea is to rise above the desires. But unfortunately, many of us get stuck, to the rituals as an end in itself, merely trying to fulfill our desires. So we need to purify our mind through the performance of rituals as prescribed in the spirit of Karma Yoga and rise above the worldly pursuits and come to Vedanta, the Ant Bhaga Vedas called Upanishads, where it talks about the philosophy of life and living. With that philosophy, you continue pursuing the spiritual aspects of your personality with little detachment towards the world, and then which in this particular time you are jnana pradhana, meaning more focused on gaining knowledge, and you further are able to focus on meditation, and through meditation you liberate. This is the idea. But unfortunately, we get stuck with the desire-ridden actions, which produces more and more desires that he condemns from verse 41 to 44. Now from 45 to 53, he talks about selfless, desireless actions leading to self-realization. This is what he talks about from 45 to 53. In this we have seen 45, shloka number 45, where he says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastaha Niryogakshema Atmavan. This verse we have actually dealt with in detail, but I'll just give a synopsis before we go to verse number 46. The Vedas deal with 3 gunas, attributes. Be thou free, O Arjuna, from the 3 gunas, free from the pairs of opposites, remain ever in sattva, free from acquisition and preservation, and established in the self. So what he wants to say is, when he says the Vedas deal with 3 gunas, he's talking about the first 3 portions of Vedas, called the ritualistic portions called Brahmana, Mantra, and Aranyaka. So he says, Arjuna, they only help you to live in this world. They deal with survival aspect. But human life should not merely be contained at the level of survival. That is animals, how they function. Understand? That is how animals function. Whereas human being should be beyond working just for survival. So that is called living. Whereas we need to focus more on life. See, when a tiger chases a deer, the deer is trying to make a life, whereas tiger is trying to make a living. You understand? Tiger is trying to make a living. So all our life just merely goes in focusing on living. We should start finding out the purpose of life and achieve that purpose, the goal of life. And Vedanta declares that the goal of life is to liberate, is to realize one's own original self. Only then you begin to live your life totally. So therefore, instead of wasting your time in merely pursuing the worldly aspects of the Vedas, you purify using the rituals, come to Vedanta Bhag, and then go to meditation and realize. That is what he wants to say. You rise above the pairs of opposites, the world, bring your mind to absolute purity, sattva, and then become free from acquisition and preservation. Yoga and kshema. Yoga in this context means acquiring what has not been acquired, attaining what has not been acquired, and preserving what is acquired. Whole life goes in this samsara, entanglement, as if this is the end all and be all of life. So that he says you should come out and start getting established yourself in the Atma. Thus he continues. And from here he continues to say, what is the purpose of the Veda Purva Bhaga, also Vedanta? All this have a purpose. You should approach the purpose from that angle. See, Shastra means to teach and protect. It teaches, gives the philosophy of life and living, and protects you from insecurity and all kinds of fears, etc. So you got to use the Shastra and get the benefit and rise above the Shastra also. Not get stuck there. No doubt Shastra plays a very important role in our life. You understand? Guru plays a very important role in our life. But we should not get stuck to Guru and Shastra alone. So therefore he says you have to rise above the Shastra also. What is the use of the Shastra? Use it accordingly and rise above it. That he mentions in the next shloka. Shloka number 46.
Yavanartha udapane sarvatah samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah.
Very interesting shloka. Yavan artha udapane. Udapane means pond. Yavan artha udapane. What is the use of pond? He asks. When there is water everywhere. When there is flood of water everywhere. Sarvata samplutodake. When there is flood of water everywhere. Tavan sarveshu vedeshu. Similarly, what is the use of Vedas? All Vedas, meaning all bodies of knowledge. Veda means knowledge. All bodies of knowledge. Brahmanasya vijanataha. When for a Brahmana who is enlightened. So what is the use of the Vedas for a Brahmana who is enlightened? Vijanataha. And just as what is the use of pond when the whole village is flooded with water? That is what he is saying. To an enlightened Brahmana, all the Vedas are of as much use as a pond is where there is a flood of water everywhere. See, what is the use of the pond? The villagers get the benefit of drawing water from the pond. But when there is water everywhere, the whole village is flooded by water, what purpose does the pond serve? Nothing. So, similarly, a Brahmana means one who is well versed in the scriptures and one who lives according to the scriptures and has attained the goal of life. Such a person is called Brahmana. This is Vijanataha. Not only the person whom he talks about as Brahmana is knowledgeable, but also he is having established himself in that knowledge, having wisdom. Such a person who is a realized soul himself or herself. For that person, what is the use of Vedas? See, for example, Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna did not carry reference books with him to the battlefield. Oh, what happens if in case Arjuna asks some questions pertaining to life and living? Let me carry some books with me so that I can answer his doubts, answer his questions. He didn't have to carry because he is a person who is enlightened, who is the personification of knowledge itself. Therefore, from within, he can speak. You understand? So there is no need for any text or any reference book, anything of that sort. That's what he's saying. To an enlightened Brahmana, one who is established in the Atma, one who is established in the divinity, one who knows about himself as Atma and not as this body, mind, and intellect. Such a person has no use of Vedas. In other words, what he wants to say is the use of Vedas is for what purpose? Like I mentioned to you, the Veda Purva Bhaga is for Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata, purification of thoughts and single pointedness of the thought. And then you come to Veda Anthabhag, which is Upanishads, which will establish you more in the higher direction of the self. Mind becomes completely free from the attachment to the world. Then you qualify yourself to do meditation, dhyana, and through dhyana, you attain moksha, liberation. This is the use of Vedas. This is the use of scriptures. So Vedas is not only the Veda Purvabhag, even Upanishads, even Bhagavad Gita. See, one of the examples we give in our classes is when a person falls ill, and if it requires hospitalization to get cured, the person may go and get admitted in the hospital. Until such time, he becomes completely free from that illness. He gets discharged after that and then he goes to his house. The facilities in the hospital could have been fantastic. He could have had a fantastic diet there. Everything would have been provided to him. The room was excellent. All that may be fine. But once he's become healthy, neither is he interested in staying there, nor would they allow him to continue staying there. He say, bye-bye, please go back to your house or wherever you want. So you get into the hospital to get out. You get into the hospital with illness. You get out healthy. Isn't it? Free from illness. Free from disease. That's the idea. Similarly, we are all caught up in the disease called samsara. Now, what is this samsara? Samsara is nothing but mental entanglement. It is nothing to do with the world. In Tamil, they refer to the wife as samsara. Don't think like that. If there are any people who understand Tamil, you do not think like that. Samsara here means mental entanglement. Please understand it correctly. There is nothing wrong in the world, but we get mentally entangled. Now I have these classes every Sunday, other classes throughout the week we have. I may get mentally entangled. Hey, Baba, class is there. I have to do this, I have to do that. I may get entangled. We run an institution. We may get entangled mentally. There's a family. We may get entangled in that family. So each one of us can mentally get entangled in our profession, in our family relationships, etc., etc. That is called samsara. That is the disease. This is happening at the mind level. So we need to free ourselves from this entanglement. So the antidote for that samsara, antidote for that mental entanglement is the knowledge. But the knowledge will not go into you unless and until you are purified. Therefore, you are prescribed the Veda Purva Bhaga, the ritualistic portion, Karma Yoga. Doing that correctly, you purify yourself and then you take to knowledge, which is Upanishads, which is diluted further and given as Bhagavad Gita. Through this knowledge, you analyze about your personality and establish yourself in the true self, freeing yourself from the fake identity and slowly meditating and finally completely establishing yourself in the true identity, Atma, attaining the purpose of life. This is how you proceed. So therefore, what is the use of Vedas? To realize the self. But once you have realized the self, what is the use? No use. Like you use a paper cup to drink tea or coffee or whatever, or matka, the cup made of clay. You drink the tea and then throw it. The use is for that purpose. That is the use, to drink tea or coffee or whatever. And that's it. After that, you throw it. Exactly like that. The Vedas are of as much use for a person who's already liberated. So the purpose of Vedas is liberation. Don't forget that. All of us get lost in it. See, there are, first of all, very few get into it. Whoever gets into it gets lost. You may give up your other pursuits. Like Vedas talk about 4 goals. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Right? Dharma, the righteous way of living, the values. First, initially, you need to gain these values. This is one goal. Without values, your mind will go in all directions. And with the values, you must be able to pursue wealth. And then pursue enjoyment. Artha and then Kama. So Dharma, Artha, Kama. But all along, you will, as you proceed with Dharma, you will understand that Artha and Kama has a limitation. This cannot be the ultimate goal, life's purpose. Therefore, you then clearly understand life's purpose is moksha, attainment of liberation. So you move beyond Dharma, you move beyond Artha, you move beyond Kama, and then you come to moksha, attainment of liberation, freedom from the entanglement, mental entanglement. And then attain that, not stagnate there. To be wondering, what is this in our classes? He covers 1 shloka, maybe 2 maximum. There are 701 slokas in the Bhagavad Gita. We are now only in 2nd chapter, 46th shloka. When will he complete Bhagavad Gita? And when can we go to another text? Not possible. Maybe I'll die before that. Or what if I lose the capacity to hear? So all these kinds of unnecessary excitement, you get involved. This itself becomes a samsara. So he says, please understand, you have to pursue this also with objectivity, with clear purpose in mind. Why am I getting into it? And do the sadhana as prescribed and achieve the purpose of life. That's all he says. To an enlightened Brahmana, all the Vedas are of as much use as a pond is where there is a flood of water everywhere. So in Tamil, Thiruvalluvar gives a text called Tirukkural. In that he says, Karka, Kasadu Ara, Karpavai, Katrapin, Nirka, Adarku Taga. Means Karka. First thing we have to learn. What should we learn? All kinds of nonsense we are learning in Google nowadays. Google, YouTube and all that. Therefore he says Karka, Karpavai Karka. Whatever has to be learned, learn that. Karpavai Karka means what has to be learned, studied. That you study, that you learn. How? Kasadu Ara. With no doubts whatsoever. Karka, Kasadara, Karpavai, Katrapin. Having studied, having learned. Nirka Adarku Taga. Means live accordingly. Very nicely he puts it. Karka, Kasadara, Karpavai, Katrapin, Nirka Adarku Taga. Beautifully he puts. So the whole idea is what? Nirka Adarku Taga. Means go and live. See, the knowledge has to be converted into wisdom. It has to be set in motion. When you grasp this knowledge, you gain the information, store it in your memory, it gets stored there. It gets stagnated there. What is the big deal when the knowledge merely gets stagnated? If you don't allow that stagnated knowledge to set it in motion, how are you going to benefit? How are you going to achieve peace? How are you going to bring about harmony without? How are you going to bring about success in your life? Etc. etc. So, therefore, we have to set this knowledge in motion. For that, we need to put in effort. There's a lot of effort that we need to put in. Knowledge is gained from outside. Wisdom is gained from one's individual effort through reflection. Asking questions. Why, when, what, where, who, which. All these questions you ask, whatever you are studying, you subject it to these questions. And then you draw the wisdom out of it, put that into practice in your life, observe, verify it. If it stands the test of truth, absorb it, make it your own. Then you will live by it. That's called wisdom. So that's the purpose is this. So instead of moving towards that, once you gain that wisdom, you will be walking freely with no bhaya, with no insecurity. See, in the previous shloka, he talked about acquisition, preservation. Isn't that our big problem? Acquire, preserve. And we preserve it, and we are afraid of our own children taking it away from us before we die. And there is another fear. That is what? Somehow we should preserve it and use it as long as we are there, and then hand it over carefully to our children. And we are worried. I hope this fellow has the knowledge to use the wealth and multiply the wealth and hand it over to their children. So much of samsara we have in our head. All this brings in insecurity. Bhaya. What will happen? When I am alive itself, I am seeing this fellow not able to live properly. My son or my daughter. Now what will happen to them after my death? All this fear, insecurity comes. But once you gain the knowledge and get established in wisdom, all this fear goes. All the grief goes. That we talked about from verse number 11 to 30. You become free. You thereafter don't carry any load on your head and walk. You understand? You freely walk. Like when you go to the airport with your luggage and then you check in. Once you have checked in, then you freely roam around in the duty free and go into the flight, sleep or watch TV or read a book or sleep or whatever, talk to the other person and then enjoy your life. That should be the case. But today, as we are living, it's like traveling in a flight, our journey of life. There is so much in our head. So we are not able to enjoy. We have not checked in. All that the knowledge of Vedanta will do is completely take away your worries and anxieties. So a Brahmana becomes free. Even becomes free from the entanglement with Shastra. But that's the last. Oh, I have to become free from Shastra also. I will start now from Shastra. Straight away stop. No, that is not the right way to go. The right way to go is what? Gain the knowledge, establish yourself in the wisdom, then there is no need for any Shastra also. So, this is a very interesting and revolutionary shloka. He says, even this study has a limitation. You got to bring it to action. If you don't bring it to action, what is the point? Now, there's a quotation by Mahatma Gandhi ji. It says, any fool can find Shanti in Shanti. Shanti means peace. Any fool can find peace in peaceful environment. But you need to be wise to be able to find peace in a disturbed environment. When you go into the fish market, are you able to be peaceful? When you are in the din and roar of the challenges of life, are you able to be peaceful? That's what matters. Then you know. At that point, you can say, yes, now I don't need Vedas. Till such time, you need Vedas. Please understand this. I always say, we pack many stuff in our suitcase when we travel. When you especially suppose you are a vegetarian, and you go to some country where it might be very difficult to find vegetarian food, you even pack vegetarian food for the next 15 days or so. You take care of those kind of aspects so much. But do you pack your Gita book? Do you pack Vedanta Upanishads? No. You give chutti. He says, no, you should keep it always with you. Only till the time you can say that I'm established now in wisdom. Till such time you need it. But after that, you don't need it. That's all he says. So the whole focus is in getting enlightened. See, this word enlightened is also a very interesting word, You are already Brahman. You are already Atma. You are already the truth. You are already the reality. You are already the infinite self. You are already eternal. You are eternal. You are infinite. You means all of us. But today you do not know that. As a result, you are imagining yourself to be this body, mind, intellect complex. The moment you start thinking about yourself to be this limited individual, you're having a very narrow idea about yourself. Then your thoughts are also narrow. You become narrow-minded. Then you can't think beyond your nose, beyond your survival. And your life's quality also will be very, very small, very poor. Therefore, by studying the scriptures, you will be made to understand your real self, that you are infinite. So it's not that you're going to achieve something that you haven't got it today. You are just removing the ignorance and getting enlightened about your true nature. And once you are enlightened about your true nature, what is that? That you are infinite, beyond birth, beyond death. You always exist. You are that existence, consciousness, and bliss. When you gain that knowledge, then you blissfully, with broad mindedness, you go about living in this world. Chitta vishalatvam, your thoughts broaden. It is not shrunk. So you enjoy a qualitatively superior life. So he calls it as enlightenment, not attainment. It is actually attunement, not attainment. It is enlightenment. So your Brahmana enlightens himself or herself through the scriptures, through the help of the Guru, and putting in individual effort. With that combination and other sadhanas, you convert the knowledge into wisdom. Then you would have translated the knowledge given in the past into the present. When the knowledge is set in motion, it is transferred from the past to the present. That is what we need to achieve. That nobody. You attend the classes, I'm putting in plural. How many classes you want to attend? And then get all the information, store it in your memory. Then we become like a centipede. A centipede has 100 feet, but it moves very slowly. Similarly, we have hundreds of thoughts, hundreds of ideas. Everything in our memory, in our head. Some of them have gone also. Maybe some are still there. But when it comes to practice, when it comes to living, we lead a very poor quality life. So therefore he says, get enlightened. And once you are enlightened, then what is the use of these Vedas? Why get stuck there? He's telling this because, if you remember, in the few shlokas before, from 41 to 44, it talks about Veda Vadarataha, Pushpitam Vacham. Veda Vadarataha means who quote Vedas. Vedas are saying this, man. Morning you should do Sandhya Vandanam, afternoon Sandhya Vandanam, evening Sandhya Vandanam. Of course you should do. If you are a Brahmana and you're initiated into it, you do all that. It's your Nitya Karma, daily routine obligation. You do all that. But don't get stuck there. So that's what he wants to say. Brahmana is going through Sandhya Vandanam and many other practices for what purpose? Finally to get liberated, moksha. Not stay put somewhere. Isn't it? So that's why he says, it's of no use. All these helps you, prepares your mind, then takes you to that height. You should not stagnate somewhere. Set the knowledge into motion. Bring it from the past to the present. We want living knowledge. We don't want dead information. See, it's very interesting. All the sayings in Vedas, whatever Vedas have said, it is all said by great masters when they have attuned themselves with their real nature, real self. When they have become one with their real nature and the ego is completely dissolved, they have become paripurnatvam. From that fullness, whatever they spoke, this is the collection of knowledge called Vedas. That is why all these Vedas, we say, have come from God. It is not the work of a human being. It is the work of Bhagavan himself, we say. Himself or herself or itself. Somebody asked Swami Ramtita, is God Mr. or Mrs.? He says it is neither Mr. nor Mrs., but it is a mystery. Nobody knows what it is until you realize the self. Once you realize the self, you cannot communicate with the other fellow who is in a conditioned state. Therefore, nobody knows. So, what he wants to say here is that you must gain this knowledge, put that into practice, liberate. That's the whole idea. To an enlightened Brahmana, all the Vedas are of as much use as a pond is where there is a flood of water everywhere. You should inundate yourself with this knowledge. Inundate yourself with this knowledge doesn't mean information. Inundate yourself with the wisdom. So even one shloka is enough. You go back, reflect, come. In fact, we have in Tamil a text called Thirumandiram, given by a saint called Tirumular. And it is said that he gave 3,000 shlokas or more than 3,000 shlokas. And each shloka he gave one year. He lived apparently more than 3 years. So he gives one shloka and goes away. Comes back and gives one more shloka next year, like that. In other words, you need to reflect. Even one shloka is enough. That's why we say Vedas are called apaurusham. Paurusham means that which is born through human effort. That which is brought about by human effort. Apaurusham means that which is not brought about by human efforts. So when the great sages have dissolved their ego, at that time they are one with the divinity and they are speaking. So the divinity is speaking through them. So it's live knowledge. Now that live knowledge is there in the Vedas. Those days they just gave verbally. Now it's all, we have it in books. And for example, even this class is in fact recorded and we are putting it in YouTube and all. So now, afterwards, when you read or listen, it is dead and gone. No? It's a dead past information that is stored in a system, in a book or a recorder or whatever. Now, you got to bring that into action. How? For that you need to do sadhana. See, take the example of Rama's, the Shiv Dhanush that Lord Rama broke. In the Ramayana story, it is said that whoever breaks that Shiv Dhanush, the bow, can marry Sita. Everybody tried. Nobody could. Only Lord Ram could. So when you do sadhana, qualify yourself and then touch the scriptures, then you will be able to draw the wisdom out of it. Like Lord Rama, who's qualified himself, comes and touches that bow, he is able to break it. Other fellows were not able. So simply gaining information is not enough. We need to do sadhana. We need to lead a sattvic lifestyle. That's why Adi Shankaracharya emphasizes on satsang a lot. Satsangatve nissangatvam, he says. Nissangatve nirmohatvam. Nirmohatve nischalatatvam. Nischalatatve jivan mukti. Incidentally, this is in Bhajagovindam. We have covered Bhajagovindam in one of the classes, and the entire Bhajagovindam is now, the class is in YouTube now. Whoever wants to listen to that can go and listen to that. But whatever you listen, read, all we want to say is put in that effort, practice sattvic lifestyle, question, understand, then you will be able to draw the wisdom. Then you will become free. That's the idea. So, go, leave, slowly rise. First, acquaint yourself with Dharma. Then, with the Dharma, you pursue wealth. Then, with Dharma, you enjoy life. And then, you will rise above these three. And then you come to Vedanta. You then pursue that also objectively and go and attain moksha. Don't give up in between. Don't get stuck in anything. That's the idea. That's the whole idea. So therefore he says, Yavan artha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. A pond can take only as much water that it can occupy. Isn't it? So you draw whatever water from the pond. But suddenly when there is water on all sides, everywhere, you in fact can't even see the pond. Similarly, you are that Atma. You are filled with consciousness everywhere. It is like fish living in water, trying to search for water. Where is water? Supposing the fish is searching. Where is water? Where is water? Everywhere. In fact, the fish is able to ask this question, where is water? Because of water. Isn't it? If water is not there, can the fish ask, where is water? It will die. The fish will die. So the very reason the fish is existing is because of water. And then being in water, it's asking, where is water? So what is the purpose of life? Who am I? What is my real nature? The very reason you are able to ask these questions is because the pure consciousness, Atma, the self, is enlivening your body, mind and intellect, and therefore your intellect is able to ask these questions. So you are in fact inundated with this pure consciousness, by this pure consciousness. That's what he wants to say. But you are contented with just information in your memory, like contentment of water in the pond. There is water in the pond. Similarly, there is some information in your memory which you have gained from the past. You're constantly gaining and stuffing, and you're very happy with that pond. No, you should actually come out of those restrictions. You should come out of those restrictions called the rituals and many things. That doesn't mean you poo-poo the rituals. Please understand this. You go into it to get out. That's the idea. Not get stuck there. That's what I'm explaining from different angles. We are like that fish in water. There is pure consciousness everywhere, without and within. There is Atma, or which is called as Brahman from the totality point of view, which is everywhere. Brihat Tamatvat iti Brahman. Means what? It's the big. Big means the biggest. There's nothing bigger than that. Which has no beginning, no end. So actually, there is consciousness everywhere. All you need to do is open your eyes and see. Open your inner eye and see. But you are not in. Arey, thoda sa bolo na. Or new book start karo na. Naya text start karo na. Please bring in new pond. No, let's dig more and more ponds. There is one pond in the village. Population is going on increasing. So what do? We want to dig more and more pond. Not realizing there is water everywhere. It's that kind of a situation is saying. You are the pure consciousness. You have to open your eyes, but you're closing your eyes and very happy, contented in just filling your inside pond called memory with water. What? Information. What is the use? Useless. It's like digging more and more ponds. Just have to open and see. Right now, here and now, you can liberate. That's what he wants to say. If you go deeply, dig into this shloka, what he wants to say? He's saying, right now, in this moment, you can liberate. Wake up. But we are very comfortable in going through this sleep with the anesthesia of spiritual knowledge. Hey Baba, I am studying Gita. You must also come to this Gita. You know what all different angles he explains Gita. It's a brilliant thing. It's an anesthesia. Please understand this. This is nothing but anesthesia. It will put you in nice sleep, at least for 1 hour. Especially, I don't know, you guys are all switched off your videos. I have no idea whether you're sleeping or awake, what you're doing. 1 hour you will be guaranteed good sleep. And then whenever you start thinking about this knowledge, very good sleep you will have in life. That's not the whole idea, right? You are, Sirish is saying, I'm watching. I know that, don't worry. It's just a joke. So the whole thing is, there is consciousness and nothing else. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This is the highest declaration of Advaita Vedanta. Brahman alone is real. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. This Jagat, this world, this changing world is Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This Jiva is none other than Brahman. This is the declaration. So you are consciousness, and consciousness alone is there. It is everywhere. It is at all times. Right now in front, but you are not able to see. But you're busy following Vedas. You're busy following rituals. You're busy pursuing pilgrimages. All this, okay, important. You know, in Tamil Nadu, we have another great teacher, Guru, who takes people for pilgrimages to retreats. And he does a fantastic work, you know. What he does is he takes them to certain pilgrimages in such a way that he follows the path of Lord Rama's traveling from Ayodhya and then getting back to Ayodhya. Something like that he does. So wherever they travel, he sits in between and discusses the story of Rama and explains to them what happened here, what happened there. Several values and philosophies taught through that. He's doing a fantastic work. So pilgrimages are very good, important. But you are only following that. You already booked your pilgrimage for the next year. You know, we also used to conduct retreats. Because of Corona and many other reasons, we have stopped. But again, we are going to start maybe. But when we have these retreats, some people approach me, say, sir, are you going to do the retreat in the same place like last year? Please take us to some other place. Right? The idea is we are not going for tour here. You know, because there I've seen this, you know, like for example, we've gone to Kashi, Varanasi. Now let's go to Rishikesh. Now after Rishikesh, let's go to Uttar Kashi. Right? Are we here taking you from, are we travel agents or what? So the idea is not just traveling. Please understand. So these are all anesthesia. They're all in deep sleep. This shloka wakes you up. See, this entire portion, if you understand correctly, Sri Krishna is punching us like anything, You fellows, useless fellows, he's punching us like that. So he's saying, whatever is been given for your good, now you're using it for all kinds of nonsense. See, when a patient is suffering from terrible pain, cancer patients, etc., I'm told they are given morphine as a painkiller, drugs. Now, some fellows may start using it for other purpose. If you're not careful. The danger. This is what we are doing. This is exactly what the shloka is saying. This whole portion, starting from 41 now onwards, is saying this only. What are you doing? Huh? You're not, and you are deluding yourself to believe that you are in spiritual field. I'm in spiritual field. I get up this, I do these rituals, I do this mechanically. I'm doing, but you're not realizing that you're doing it mechanically, but you're continuing. I am a very good fellow. I'm a pious fellow. I'm following all this. Right? Wake up, na? All the time searching for God. But God आपको सामने ही है, in front of you, behind you, at all sides, yet you're not seeing. You're continuing your search. You got stuck in search. The very searching becomes an obstacle. That's what he brilliantly explains here. Very deeply, when you go into the shlokas and dig them out, you will understand what he's trying to say. So a Brahmana is one who doesn't get stuck in all this. He understands. He or she understands. And then sees the pure consciousness right here. This moment, if you want liberation, you can liberate. Are you really interested in liberation? They are interested in information. They are not interested in transformation. So that is what he's saying. Vedas should help you wake up now. In fact, in Ashtavakra Gita, in chapter 15, in one of the shlokas, Sage Ashtavakra mentions this. For a very, very highly qualified sattvic student, wakes up, realizes the self upon just merely hearing about the Atma from the qualified teacher. Just listening, he realizes it. The other fellow, he may continue listening, he may continue putting in effort, but he will continue to be confused with this. Why? Because he's having a lifestyle of rajas and tamas. So when you qualify yourself by completely eradicating tamas, reducing rajas, and increase sattva, just one verse is enough. Just one shloka is enough. Just one word is enough. Just Om. When the Guru utters Om, you will wake up. You can realize. But for that, you need to be qualified that much. So right now you have the potential to wake up, but you put yourself to deep sleep using the Shastras, enjoying. Very nice, very nice, very nice. And when you're disturbed from the sleep, again you put little more dosage of anesthesia and want to go back to sleep. So probably this anesthesia dose given every week puts you to sleep for a week. And again you want one more dose of anesthesia, you come back to class. That should not be how it is. You should go back and reflect, ask questions to yourself. And then come back with more sattva. And suddenly you will see that the transformation happens. The transformation can happen anywhere. What happened to that, what's his name? Who shouted, Eureka, Eureka, and ran? Archimedes, na? Archimedes' principle. He was in the bathtub. He was putting in efforts continuously, but he was not relaxing himself. One day in the bathtub, he was relaxing. Suddenly, he got the answer. And he shouted, Eureka, Eureka, and was running. Anywhere it can happen. Where it will happen, you have no idea. It can happen while you are traveling in the train. It can happen right now in the class. It can happen as you are cutting your vegetables or eating your food or playing cricket or whatever. It can happen anywhere. But for that, you need to be ready, prepared. That sadhana. That's what he wants to say. This is the idea. The knowledge, Atma, the pure consciousness is everywhere. All you need to do is open your eyes. You have to do that. Guru cannot open your eyes. Shastras cannot open your eyes. Shastras provide the methodology. Once it's understood correctly, you open your eyes. That's the idea. So that's what he's saying. Don't be comfortable in pond, man. Bring in flood. You should be flooded with truth. You are actually flooded with truth. You need to realize that. And to make you realize that, the Shastras are given. The great masters have given you this. You have to thus approach this subject, then you will benefit. And once you benefit, to the extent you benefit, everybody else around you benefit. Automatically. Automatically they'll benefit. But when you are not benefited yourself, how will the others benefit? So that's the idea. Rather than getting involved in working for benefiting the others and all, first gain this knowledge, bring in peace within, then you will be able to bring peace and harmony without everywhere. This is what this shloka is saying. Yavan artha udapane sarveshu, what is that? Yavan artha udapane sarvata samplutodake. Tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. So we should go and become vijanata, get enlightened about this truth, which is our original self. Then the dependence goes. As our spiritual evolution continues, the dependence on the world reduces. When we go to 100% evolution spiritually, then dependence becomes zero. That's the whole idea. Completely free ourselves from dependence. Attain total independence, moksha, liberation. That's what he's talking about in this shloka. And next to shloka is a very important shloka in the Gita. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaye turboho ma te sangostva karma. So this shloka we will take it up next week. It's actually a summary of karma yoga, you can say. That's how an enlightened person functions also. We'll see that next week. Now let's conclude the class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.